I can tell you that two nations can share weapons, share intelligence, share enemies, and a bit of civilization, and still refuse to fight for each other when war knocks at the door. Russia and Iran stand together against Western pressure. Iran supplied drones during Russia's war in Ukraine. Moscow shields Tehran diplomatically. So when tensions explode between Iran and Israel, the assumption is simple: Russia will step in. But it doesn't. Not militarily, not directly, not decisively. Why? Because in geopolitics, loyalty is optional. Interests are not. Strategic partners, not blood allies. Russia and Iran are aligned, but not bound. Their cooperation includes military coordination, energy deals, sanctions workarounds, shared opposition to US dominance. But here's what most headlines miss. There is no mutual defense clause, no automatic war trigger, no promise that Moscow will fight if Tehran is attacked. This is not NATO. This is strategy, not brotherhood. They cooperate where interests intersect, but they are not obligated to bleed for each other. And that distinction changes the entire equation. The Ukraine reality. Russia is already locked in its largest military conflict in decades, in Ukraine, which is being helped by all Western countries. That war consumes manpower, ammunition, industry, national focus. Opening another front, especially one involving Israel and potentially the United States, would be strategically reckless. But rather, focus on Ukraine while the US is focused on the Middle East. History teaches a brutal lesson. Great powers rarely collapse from one war. They collapse from overextension. Russia cannot afford to fight on two geopolitical fronts, so it prioritizes survival over symbolism. The Russian-speaking factor in Israel. There's another very important layer most people overlook. After the fall of the Soviet Union, more than 1 million Russian-speaking Jews immigrated to Israel. Today, nearly 1 in 5 Israelis has root from Russian. That's not a minor cultural connection. That's demographic weight. These citizens are Israeli. They serve in Israel's military. They vote. They lead businesses. But they also maintain family, language, and historical ties to Russia. For Moscow, this creates strategic complexity. Fighting Israel would mean confronting a country deeply intertwined with Russia's own diaspora. That carries political cost, human cost, symbolic cost, and modern geopolitics is a game of minimizing unnecessary cost. Russia's balancing act. Russia's strategy in the Middle East isn't ideological, it's positional. Moscow talks to Iran, it talks to Israel, it talks to Syria, it talks to Gulf states. It even keeps channels open with Washington. But it shared with China huge intelligence to Iran. In Syria, Russia confronted the US while backing Assad, yet coordinated carefully with Israel to avoid direct confrontation. Why? Because Russia prefers influence over entanglement. If Moscow joins Iran in open war against Israel, it loses its role as a power broker, and it is like partially confronting its own people. It stops balancing and starts choosing sides. For a country seeking leverage across the region, that would be a strategic downgrade. Controlled tension versus chaos. Yes, Iran helped Russia during the Ukraine war, but it is a mutual benefit, especially in arms science. And Moscow has since expanded its own production capabilities. Dependence is lower. Meanwhile, a full-scale Israel-Iran war would destabilize oil markets, draw in US forces, trigger unpredictable regional escalation. Russia benefits from tension it can manage. But chaos? Chaos is expensive, and worse, uncontrollable. A great power does not jump into a fire it did not start and cannot extinguish. However, Russian authorities emphasize that they are ready to help when Iran asks, and diplomatically, they are in touch. The real lesson about modern alliances. The 20th century ran on rigid alliances. Today's world runs on flexible alignment. Partnerships are conditional. Support is calculated. Loyalty is limited. Countries don't fight for friends. They fight for interests. Russia and Iran align where useful, but usefulness has limits. And war is the ultimate cost. Power is restraint. Russia's refusal to fight Israel for Iran is not weakness. It is discipline and calculation. It is a reminder that shared enemies do not equal shared wars. Strategic partnership does not equal military obligation. And power is preserved by choosing which battles to avoid. In today's geopolitical order, alliances are tools, not vows. And sometimes, the strongest move a nation can make is doing nothing at all. Thank you for watching.